Hello everybody and welcome. We're going to experiment with lighting effects, and this is going to be coming from the filters menu to render lighting effects. So we're going to work on my little buddy here, Bobby, and Bobby is our pet penguin, and I thought he would be appropriate to work from. He's already been in Camera Raw and had some adjustments made just to kind of clean the colors up and get the white balance. No, this isn't really Bobby. This is at the aquarium in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, but we're going to play with it and another. Let me bring it up real quick. And here we go. This is Bobby's family. I'm just going to call him Bob because now it's in my head and I can't get rid of it. So we haven't done anything to this one yet. So I just brought it into Camera Raw. I have it set up to where all my JPEG images immediately go into Camera Raw, as well as my Camera Raw files go into Camera Raw. Right now you see a few penguins out there, but you don't see all the penguins very well. This is the image full frame, I believe. Let's see. Let's do a Control 0, Command 0 on a Mac. And let's bring up the shadows a little bit, shall we? And watch what goes on inside there when we move this shadow slider over. So now you can see through these that there is other material back in there, right? And if we slide the slider back, you see how dark that becomes. We can go all the way up. It's not going to hurt a thing, because all it is doing is opening up those shadows. We can also bring the blacks up a little bit. I don't really like to do much of that, maybe just a little bit. The clarity, I ran it up for some reason already. That's okay. I don't like to, I really like to judge that on the fly, how much clarity I'm going to give. Every image is different. A lot of people just crank it in a plus 30 or so, and that's an automatic. We don't really want to take vibrance for granted either, although I think bringing some of those colors up that are in the rock looks kind of nice. Let's go up here and see what auto does. See, that makes it too yellow with the vibrance that far up, so we'll bring it back down a little bit. And the auto white balance looks okay. We can go over here to camera calibration, and let's see here. We've got nothing there because it's a JPEG. If it were a Camera Raw file, we'd also have options here. But we can move these sliders, but it's kind of a hit and miss thing. So let's say that's fine. We're going to bring this into Photoshop, so I'll click on Open Image. And here's Bobby's relatives. Do a Control 0, Command 0 on a Mac, so we can better see them. Now, what I like about the lighting effects in Photoshop is that we can have so much control over it. There's a lot of ways to bring light in. Let me show you the old way. This is the way everybody used to have to bring in light. So we can take the polygonal, or as some say, the polygonal lasso tool, and we can click, and let's say we're going to brighten this rock up. So we click here, here, and come back to this. This is where our light source will be coming from. Then we can go up here. Let's do this on a new layer. Just have a layer 1 there. And let's go into select, modify, and feather this because we don't want hard lines. 10 or 15's good. I'm going to go ahead and go with 15. If you look up here, you can see the corners smoothed out a little bit. And so with that selection, let's go up to the brightness contrast adjustment and click on it once, and our marching ants went away. But notice over here we have a nice layer mask, and it shows you that exact shape. If I do a control or command click on that, you see we have our marching ants back. We don't need to see those right now. Let me show you what's going on. We've got this, and with this control panel, that's for this particular adjustment layer. We just run the brightness up, and you see what's taking place. It looks like a beam of light coming from heaven, so to speak. And we can adjust the contrast of that, which obviously is going to make it a harsher light or a softer light. Now the other thing is, it's on its own layer, so we can click on the move tool and we can move this anywhere we want. Let's just say that that's our main penguin, or up here. And you say, well, that light's a bit large to be highlighting that penguin. Well, the fact that it's a mask allows us to turn on the paintbrush, or press the letter B, go up here to the brush, make sure it's a big one and bigger than that, and that's about right. We want to make sure hardness is all the way to the left, so it's 0, and we want to turn the opacity down around 30 again, like we have on other attempts at work. And I'm just going to paint with black, which is on top. If black and white aren't on top, press the letter D for the default colors. And if black's not on top of the white, press X. X will toggle the black and white back and forth. So now I've got the mask over here highlighted, and I'm just going to paint, and you see that edges of the brightness is kind of going down. So we do have this lightness, but we've controlled it very nicely by using this layer mask. So if we turn that back on, you see, and because this is an adjustment layer with a mask, we can say, yes, we can work on that mask all day long until we get that mask just the way we want it. And again, we can turn on the move tool with the letter V as in victory and still move that anywhere in the image we want to. But we can also double click right on the little sun here, brings the dialog box back up, and we can either turn that light up and the contrast up, or go the other direction. Maybe you want to make this a darker, duller area. See, we're basically bringing a beam of shadow in. So this is Bobby's bad brother, and we can make another one. Just click and drag that down to the new layer icon, and we can move one over here to the good brother and run the brightness up. Yeah, I just did that for fun and giggles, just to show you the power that we have with lighting effects. But these are still very rudimentary lighting effects. Here goes the good stuff. We'll just delete these, hit the little trash can. Let's make those go away. I'm going to make a copy of the background layer, do a Control J, Command J on a Mac. And now we can go to Filter, Render, Lighting Effects. Now this is powerful. Many of you probably have never played with this before, but it is what I say, it's powerful. you see we have texture here, because right now this is set up to be one kind of a light, and we want it to be a little bit different. So we go over here to custom and we say we want a floodlight. So the floodlight has these pins which allow us to move it, and also we have this circular slider that allows us to change how intense that light is. It only goes up so far on each one of these, but you can see that's already too far. But we have great control over it. Now you say, what about these pins on the side? Well, this allows us to click and drag that all in. So if we only want the light coming down in a certain place, we can do that, or we can light the entire image with that. Okay, let's see, let's move this down some more. And then you see we've got one up here at the top. Drag that back up. I don't know why these default to being so huge to begin with, but you can click and drag this anywhere you want. And if I click outside the circle, it allows me to tilt the light and have it coming from wherever I want it. So I can exclude some of the image if I want to. It's basically as vignetting some of the image. Then we can turn that down so it's not so hot. So if I go up here and click OK, and we've got a preview, you can turn that off and see how much the image we're basically hiding. We can go ahead and click OK if you need to see a better example of it. And it looks like pretty much a circle has been created. It's not all bad if you wanted to put some text over here, as in a card or something like that. So I'm going to do a Control-Alt-Z, Command Option Z on a Macintosh, and get back to where we once were. And I'm going to go back to Filter, down to Render, and Lighting Effects again. And that was just, a couple that we've seen so far. And over here it shows us what light we are currently using. Let's go back to Custom, and let's say 5 lights down. These 5 lights can all be controlled individually. Same thing on these. You can make the light less and more intense. You can also grab these side tabs and make it much bigger. Then you can come over here and really, whoops, went the opposite direction. Now I can't get it to go back. There we go. You can go all the way around, go to darkness, and so forth. So that amount of light isn't bad. But we've got 4 more to adjust. So we can go up there and do that. We can also, let's go over here and click on this one and go to color, and we can change that one to red. Change this one to blue. Change, oops, didn't do that right. Blue. Ooh, that's, click OK. Let's go to this one and let's make this one green. Let's go over here and make this one yellow. Now, this should give you some ideas. This isn't appropriate, I guess you could say, for the penguin image, but certainly your mind is not going to lock you into only using this on wildlife. You're going to hopefully see this as a way to work on other images. And notice, as I move that in, these two colors are blending. Come over here and grab this one, and this too blends with it. Grab this one, and now all of them are blended together. So you can do some pretty amazing thing. Remember, we can change the direction, we can make it cover more area. We can even spin that all the way around and have that coming down more like that's what it should be. And then we can take the red. Now I actually did this kind of a lighting effect for an image that I was working on that had people in a stage-like environment. See how that red is really dark here, but it's blending with the blue here. So it can really have some cool effects. For instance, if we were maybe doing images of a rock and roll band or something like that. I just wanted to use this image, not specifically to show you colors on the penguins, but just the versatility of the lighting effects. Another thing I need to point out with where we are right here, let me move this, swing it around, put it over here a little bit. When we've got one light that's just pure white, that's this one here. That's just white. Anywho, we can go back and change the color of any one of these anytime we want to. Notice that there's a little drop down right here at the top of the lighting effects bar. If we click that, you'll see we also have a thing called point, which changes these. And we also have infinite, which will allow us to change this. So some things there to experiment with. Let's go back over here to custom and change this to floodlight. Well, let's look at some of the others. We can go up here, parallel directional, and spin this thing around. Soft Omni, so we can bring that in, and also brighten, soften, and so on. So you can play with those. There's 3 lights down. Again, you can change the color if you would like to any particular color choices that you might make. Triple spotlight, and we can take and basically move those to where they're coming up from the bottom or in from the sides. You have total control over those. And you see over here in the little lights palette, we can turn off, if we only want 2 of those, we can turn one of these off and just have the 2 crossing, or however way you want to set it up. And you see with 5 lights down, those can also be coming from the side or up from the bottom, and you can just have 1 or 2 of these turned on. Totally up to you how you set that up. Now, one of the things I didn't show you, we've got this slider right here because I have to make my software so small so I can record it. But if I travel down here a little bit, notice there's a texture. And if we click on the drop down where it says none, we have red, green, and blue. This plays off the red, green, and blue of whatever image you're working on. So if you select that, notice it is really creating a lot of texture in your image. That's a real effect. Now each one of these may have a slightly different effect. Sometimes you don't see the effect at all, but if you change the height, you see you can really get some odd effects out of it. So that's something to also play with, see if it helps your image or destroys it. Now I'm going to switch images here. I'm going to cancel this, and I'm going to go over here to my little buddy Bobby, and we're just going to create texture. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go down to render and lighting effects, and I want to basically work on, make this bigger, light up most of the image. So I got vignetting going on around here. That's no big deal, but what I wanted to do was play with the texture. So we'll switch it to red, not really seeing much. Let's drag that up a little bit more, and you see very quickly as I change the height of the texture, or you can say depth, you can see lots of details down here on our little guy. So sometimes a little bit of texture can really work well what we're trying to do or what we're trying to make. Again, it's always good to see if there's a difference between, in this case, red seems to be much more strong than green. Blue looks fairly strong. Let's try the green again. See, it's a different texture. So that's worth playing with as well. This time I'm actually going to go up and adjust the metallic, and I'm going to change the gloss a little bit, bring the exposure up a bit, and let's just see what we can do on that. Now if I go up here to lights, and this is add a new point, add new infinite light, reset the current light, so we can go ahead in here, add new spotlight, and I can move it wherever I want. Have it coming out of this corner if we wish, and we can extend the range and widen it. Again, we can run it wider, and we can undo that. So there's lots of things here to play with. And it's up to you to experiment and find out the things that you want to do, that you don't want to do. Obviously that was a bad move, but there's just so many things in Photoshop to play with. But the lighting effects can really be a big help to you. If you've got an image that just looks like there's a lot of darkness in certain areas, bring in the lighting effects, filter, render, lighting effects, and have some fun. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye. Oh yes, there is one other thing I once again forgot to mention. Lighting effects on text also is quite effective. I just typed in lighting effects because that's what this video is about, And then I'm going to go down to the FX button at the bottom of the layers palette and click on it and go to, you can't see it because of the recording area. Let me move that up, FX, and I'm going to go to Bevel and Emboss, then try to move that back down. Here we go. I'm going to go to Technique, Chisel Hard, and then change the size so we can kind of split that down, have a nice 3D looking effect to it. And I'm not going to do anything else. I mean, I could go down here and play with the contours and all that stuff. That's kind of a neat effect. But what I'm going to do is click OK, and I'm going to go to Lighting Effects. So I'm going to go to Filter and Render and Lighting Effects. And this is a text layer, so right now it's like a vector graphic. We need to rasterize it, so I'm going to just, instead of going over here and rasterizing, I'm just going to let it do it for me. So then our lighting effects turn on. We can use any of these lights we want to use, but notice as I move the light over how the effects change on that text. Kind of like that right there. We can lighten the whole thing up more if we want, darken it. I kind of like it right in there. So I'm going to click OK. So this is a great thing to experiment with to see, what you prefer, how it works for you. Another thing we can do on the text is I'm going to click on Drop Shadow, put a shadow back there to make it stand out just a little bit better, and I'm going to click and move it a little bit and click the size so I can create a little 3D effect, some depth going back into the image, and click OK. And you see text effects or lighting effects can be used on your image, it can be used on your text. It's a very powerful tool to have in your Photoshop toolbox. Okay, I'm really out of here this time. Talk to you all later.